In June 2006, 47-year-old Gilbert Mark Gilman vanished from Olympic National Park after setting out alone from the staircase area for what was supposed to be a simple day hike with his camera. He was a state pension official with a background in Army intelligence, and the mystery of what happened to him has never been solved. 1. Who Gilbert Gilman was. Gilbert Mark Gilman was described as a former military man with intelligence experience who later worked in state government. He was 47 years old at the time he disappeared, and sources describe him as someone who had come to the park that day expecting an ordinary outing rather than anything dangerous. What makes this case so unsettling is that Gilman was not some anonymous traveler passing through. He was a real person with a professional life, a family, and a future that simply stopped one day in the middle of a national park.
That is where the story begins. Not with a mystery,
but with a man who never made it back from a walk in the woods. 2. His last known movements and the day things changed. On June 24, 2006, Gilman drove his silver 2005 Ford Thunderbird convertible to the Staircase Ranger Station in Olympic National Park. He left the car there and went into the park carrying a camera, apparently planning a hike in the Staircase Rapids area. He was last seen that day, and when he failed to show up for a planned meeting the next day, concern quickly grew. His coworker reported him missing on June 25th. At first, it looked like the kind of search that might end with a tired hiker being found on a trail or riverbank. Instead, Gilman vanished without leaving behind any confirmed trace of where he had gone. 3. What was discovered and how the case unfolded. Searchers mounted a major response in the days that followed.
One account describes a 10-day search involving 62 personnel,
tracking dogs, aerial infrared technology, and coverage of the Staircase Rapids Loop and surrounding terrain. Another source says the search area totaled about 35 square miles. Despite that effort, investigators found nothing that could explain his disappearance. That lack of evidence is central to the case. There was no confirmed sign of struggle, no body, and no clear path showing where he might have gone after leaving the ranger station. The park terrain itself made the search difficult. Steep hills, dense forest, and river areas offered countless places where a person could be missed, even during an intensive operation. The case grew stranger when later reporting noted that documented serial killer Israel Keys had been in Olympic National Park that same week.
That fact drew attention because it added another layer of unease to an already baffling disappearance.
But it did not produce an answer, and there has never been public evidence tying Gilman's case to any specific person. 4. The investigation, obstacles, and why it went cold. The biggest obstacle was the same one that often defines wilderness disappearances: no physical evidence. Search teams had a large area to cover, but the park's terrain and the absence of any clear trail of clues meant there was nothing solid to follow. Over time, the lack of evidence meant the case could not develop in a meaningful direction. Gilman was eventually declared legally dead in 2015, years after the disappearance, because he had remained missing and unheard from for long enough under Washington law. But that legal declaration did not explain what happened to him, and it did not close the case in any emotional sense for the people left behind.
The investigation went cold because there was simply nothing to build on. No remains, no verified sightings, and no public breakthrough that connected the search to a larger explanation. For all the manpower, technology, and urgency poured into the park, the wilderness kept its secret. The case status today and what remains unknown. Today, Gilbert Gilman's disappearance remains unsolved. He has been declared legally dead, but no one knows with certainty what happened after he left the Staircase Ranger Station on June 24, 2006.
The unanswered questions are still the same ones that haunted the case from the beginning. Did he become disoriented in rugged terrain? Did something happen off-trail where searchers never reached? Why was there not a single trace after such an extensive search? And how did a man who entered the park for a simple walk disappear so completely? What stands out most is how complete the absence is. No remains, no confirmed clues, no final answer.
If you were following this case, what do you think is the most important unanswered question investigators still need to explain?